Thank you so much again, Shikha. Welcome, Nitin. Thank you so much for joining us. For people who don't know, Nitin's company Zerodha is something in broking which you could consider, as Flipkart in e-commerce. So, with that, let me just sort of dive right into the conversation. So, Nitin, what, according to you, are the key drivers that are driving the fintech in the Indian landscape and also from the global perspective today?
Yeah, thanks, Anirban, firstly, for having me on this. Um, I think, this year has been an outlier of sorts, right? As in, I think it was almost like this year where a lot of people who are sitting on the edge thinking about saving or investing. I think this whole work from home has enabled a lot of these people to think about their personal finances. And also, I think because the spending has reduced, the savings has increased. So opportunities and avenues where people are looking to save, invest. People are kind of trying to discover other ways because also the other enabler in all of this is the bank fixed deposit rates have dropped. It doesn't, so keeping money in the bank doesn't make any more sense. So I think these two things have pushed people towards, when I say fintechs, I'm talking about fintech focusing on savings and investing. Today, this year has just been a crazy kind of a year, not just in India, across the world, and for very similar reasons. Like the US, you're getting 0% yield on your bank deposits, right? And you have a stock market that has done well. And, like I said, the same thing of people having more savings on their hands. So, that's chased returns, which has helped a lot of these kind of businesses grow. Yeah, actually, like I have friends across the world. It's just not in the US. Every single country where you have access to invest in the markets, they've done well.
So, Nitin, where do you see the opportunities for growth coming, post the pandemic, post we hit the pandemic? What is going to change? I mean, obviously you said that, it has been an outlier of sorts, but what is going to happen when we see, COVID pass away actually? And what will be the trends driving those changes?
Right. Yeah, no, I'd say the thing is, I think what this year has done is enabled a lot of people to look at stock markets or look at, other avenues other than bank deposits to save, invest in. But the issue is this business isn't very easy, right? As in, it isn't easy to select stocks or select good mutual funds, right? As in, if it was easy, every single person would have been a great fund manager, right? As in, it takes some doing to, kind of be able to beat what the index gives as returns. I think the next job is really to nudge people into doing the right things, right? As in, when people are saving and investing, I think platforms like us should kind of guide people towards the right products, right? So today, most of the people who have done well this year are essentially execution only platforms. So you come to us, you already have an intent to buy or sell. We provide a great platform with as little cost as possible. At Zerodha, we still have a really large education platform. So we run one of the largest education initiatives around capital markets in the world, completely MOOC kind of an initiative. But what we've realized is just education isn't enough. Most people don't have the bandwidth to learn. They just have an intent to make money. They don't even have an intent to, they don't know which stock or which mutual fund to buy. Right? So I think the next job is, now that you've gotten this this large audience to look at stock markets or look at mutual funds as an avenue, I think the next job for businesses in fintech is focusing on saving and investing is to build platform that can kind of teach users the right behavior, right? Otherwise, what will happen is if people come, they burn their hands, they'll become inactive, they'll go to 10 friends of theirs and say, don't ever look at fintechs focusing on saving and investing, right? And then that'll be like almost like an end to potential size that our markets can grow to. So I think that essentially is something that everyone focusing on fintech should be thinking of right now.
From the point of view of collaboration, right? You said that the next part is to sort of keep the users engaged, right? So from the point of collaboration, how are you are you, I mean, one would be, looking at a larger fintech space, how would collaborations play out? And in terms of Zerodha, how are you looking to play out on collaborations?
One of the initiatives that I'm most proud about as Zerodha is this thing called as Rain Matter. It's a fund incubator that we started in 2016. So what we did was, when we were building our in-house trading platform, we also launched this thing called Sky Connect APIs. And we started talking to startups saying, in this country, the real problem to solve is this, user experience problem. It's not an execution problem. Zerodha has already done this zero brokerage and all of that. There's no point another platform trying to do the same. And what India needs is a WhatsApp, Uber kind of a moment where someone comes and builds a different kind of user experience. So think of us as Android and think of all the startups as apps on the Play Store, right? So we said, what, we have this underlying ecosystem with users on it. Why don't you come build niche experiences on top? And when we started talking to the startups, we also realized that they needed some help in terms of funding and all of that. So we have set up a fund where we invest into startups. Today, it has, I think, 11 or 12 of the coolest startups in the country working on fintech startups in the country. So some of the focusing on savings and investing again. So collaboration, I think, is the key. I don't think this is one of those things where this isn't a race. I don't think there's one number one here, right? The idea is to collaborate and grow the audience, because the markets are extremely shallow in this country, and for us as a country to grow, financialization is a key, right? As in, you want people to move their savings from bank deposits or real estate or gold and all of these, where it's not really helping the economy in any way, to actually start moving towards entrepreneurs, which is, if you have enough people investing behind entrepreneurs, you'll have enough companies creating jobs and all of that, right? As in, so I think collaboration, locally, that's been the key driver for the growth of our business. If we found a startup who's building a great product, we've gone collaborated. The collaboration internationally hasn't really happened because the underlying ecosystem in India works very differently in terms of regulatorily, in terms of how stock exchanges work. So there isn't an easy way for you to be an Indian startup focusing on saving and investing to suddenly go and say that, I'll plug it on top of US or I'll plug it on top of UK. It doesn't work like that because regulations are different in each of these countries. So internationally, we haven't really found any collaboration as such. The only thing we have done is our charting library. Like usually when people are looking at trading platforms, they like to look at charts, right? The price going up, down, and all of that. So for that, we have collaborated with two of the largest charting libraries in the world, both based out of the US. So there is a little bit of collaboration there because charting it works same irrespective of what stock it is. Now, if it's Reliance or it's Apple, the way it moves is exactly the same, right? So charting is one side where we collaborated internationally, but otherwise it's all local startups as such.
Very interestingly, we've entered the data economy, right? And then obviously there's an influx of technology coming into the financial sector and the insurance sector. So obviously, it's my personal sort of question to you is, are we going to slowly see a Zerodha sort of a AI model which keeps on egging on customers as to that, these are the recommendations that you should follow, these are the best practices that you should do, or takes in live feedback from the customers and then sort of advises accordingly?
Right. I think the big issue with advice, right, isn't the person giving advice, it's actually a person taking advice. Right? As in, none of us really follow any advice. I haven't ever done what my mom or dad have asked me to do. So it's while it was always right for me to do, right? So it doesn't matter what engine you use to generate the advice, as long as people are not going to follow it. It's not going to create any material difference, right? So there are already really fancy systems in place today which generates advice. But like I said, the problem is really with people following it. So I think the way we are focusing at this is that, see, if you invest in the markets, right, there are 4 or 5 really fundamental rules to follow right? I mean, very commonsensical things, things like diversify, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So if you're buying stocks, don't buy one stock, right? Buy 5 stocks, right? So, or don't go against the trend. Like if a stock is falling, don't buy. If a stock is going up, don't sell, right? I mean, it's a very basic rule. But then people find it tough to follow, right? So there are like 3 or 4 really basic rules in trading that you need to follow, right? And just follow those rules, uh, increases your odds of winning significantly, right? A lot of people think that the way to invest better is by somehow finding that one right strategy that will give you the best stock to buy or sell. It doesn't, right? As in, the best strategists out there are probably right 70% of the times, right? And you can toss a coin and you're right 50% of the time, right? So you can potentially just toss a coin and decide what stock to buy or sell. But as long as you follow the other rules, which is diversify, don't go against the trend, have stop loss, and all of that, right? So what we are trying to do, which is like really our next big bet as Zerodha, is to incorporate those rules within the trading platform. So it doesn't matter what advice you're taking or what strategy you're using. If you're breaking the rule, the platform will nudge you saying, you know what, dude, breaking a rule, right? And you'll always have an opportunity to, I mean, you'll always have an option to kind of override that nudge. But what we're doing is that we are saying, every time you override the nudge, can I show you a P&L and say, you know what, the last time I said, you said I didn't do that, you broke the rule. This is how much is a loss you created, right? So can you kind of using all of these, whatever behavioral nudges of sorts, teach the right trading behavior to people? I mean, that's really our next big bet as a business as well. In this.
So, Nitin, before I let you go, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I mean, where are you heading towards?
Right. I mean, as a business, the thing is, I usually, if I get asked this question, my usual go-to question back is, what do you think will happen to the Nifty, or what do you think will happen to the Nifty and Sensex? It's because stockbroking firms or investment platforms, they're almost like a high beta stock, which means our direction is essentially we are married to the underlying index, right? As in, so we go where that goes, so, and that is very unpredictable, right? As in, it's very tough to figure. I mean, like, who in the world would have thought the whole country will be shut down and we'll be at all-time highs on the markets, right? As in, it's you can't, it's very tough to predict that. And so it's one of the big challenges I have with our business is just predictability, right? It's very unpredictable in nature, right? But in terms of our products, in terms of whatever new we are trying to do, it's like I said, the next until now as Zerodha, we've worked on lowering trading costs, providing better platforms, providing great education tools. But now the next big direction for the business is, can we help a customer trade and invest better, right? Because we have realized that all of this doing is not good enough if customers are still going to use your product and still somehow not use it to its 100%. So yeah, so that's really the next big direction for the business.
I think a lot of people would also want to know, Nitin, that when are you going to? Are you really looking at even moving out yourselves? Are you looking? Are you even going to think about bringing in investors?
Oh, yeah. So the thing is, like I just mentioned, right? As in, one of the big problems I have is the unpredictability of our business, right? And luckily, we've been able to grow the business without raising any external capital, right? And it kind of gives us a lot of flexibility or a lot of nimbleness as a business in terms of our decision making, right? And that's really our edge on the competition today, right? And taking external capital can firstly reduce that nimbleness that we have, because if tomorrow the decisions we take as a business, a consensus has to be built before taking those decisions, you're slowing down as a business, right? And our edge today is not that. Our edge is that today we are a large elephant which runs like a cheetah. I mean, I don't want to be a large elephant behaving like a large elephant, so then you kind of lose that edge, right? And then there is we are we're quite profitable, so I don't even know if I were to raise some money what I'll do with the money, right? There isn't a need for money as such. I mean, I don't know, I think we're extremely lucky to be in a place where I can say something like this. And third is, like I said, because of the unpredictable nature, even if we were to raise money, I don't know how I can show some kind of growth, where because if I were to ask you to invest in my business, I have to come show you some predictability in the future, right? As in, without that predictability, how do I even come and convince you to invest in my company, right? So it's a yeah, so those are some of the challenges, and until I have answers for those, I don't think we'd be raising any external capital.
I think yes, truly, rightly said. Very few startups can say that they're bootstrapped and profitable. At the same time. With that, thank you so much for sharing all these insights with us. Over to you, Shika.